So let's say you're driving, and all of a sudden this you get a battery light similar to this on your dashboard. So you're like, man, what's the problem? What's the problem? Is it a battery? What's going on with my car? Right. First of all, you don't want to keep driving. If it flickers on and off, if it like turns off, turn off your car, restart it, and the battery light doesn't turn on again, drive to your drive it and park it, or or take it to your mechanic because it's gonna need an alter. You're gonna need a new alternator. Basically, what's happening in your alternator is there's like a voltage regulator in the back of it with these two brushes. They're made out of like carbon brushes, like in any brush motor. So basically, those carbon brushes have worn all the way down to where they're not making contact anymore with the commutator inside the alternator. So basically, you're not getting any. The alternator is not generating any electricity, and your car is running on battery. And since your car's running on battery, your battery is using your car's using up the power to create a spark, create the ignition, to power all the accessories, the computer, and all the other um, voltage draining devices on the vehicle. So then that's not charging. So your battery's gonna die within a very short amount of time. So you might not even make it to where you to your house or anything. So if let's say if your battery light comes on like this, that means that you need to right away pull over, and get a tow truck and tow your car to your shop or wherever you need to go to get an alternator and replace it. That's the only option. It could also mean if let's say your alternator is good and your belt probably ripped then because your belt is what drives the alternator. So if your belt is basically ripped, then you need it. Well, if the belt rips, then you're gonna have more problems than just an alternator because when it rips, it'll take certain pulleys with it. It could take your idler pulley or some other pulley. You know, usually when it breaks, you don't want to drive your car to that point. Make sure that you always check. For your belt. Your belt will make noise before it breaks. You'll get like squeaking, and you don't want to push it to that level to that point, obviously. But yeah. So if you see this battery light, don't change. Don't assume. Oh, you need a new battery, because some people do that. They buy a new battery and then within about a week, or not even a week, maybe a couple drives, you'll get this light again, and that means it's your alternator 100% is failing. And some people they replace just the carbon brushes in the alternator and think that hey man, that's a fix. It might work for a couple months, but it's recommended to replace the alternator because there's other components in the alternator. You have the coils that are basically they're coated with a special like enamel coated coils. These coils can fail over time. Heat cycles of your engine and dust and everything else that goes inside that alternator. It can cause those coils to like the protective covering will break off, and then the coils will what do you call it? They'll short with each other, and then you'll get like complete. It'll start draining power. It won't charge correctly, and then also you have diodes and bearings. So the alternator it's get usually when it's time to when the alternator starts to fail and you get this um, battery light warning, that means you should replace your alternator. Some people, hey, they get away with just replacing the regulator, but you still have to take the alternator off the vehicle. So if you're gonna take the alternator off the vehicle and just replace the brushes, yeah, sure, that's not a bad idea. You can do it, and then rebuild the alternator. with just a brush kit, or some people take the whole alternator apart and replace all the components inside the alternator, but it's recommended to replace the alternator when you have this problem. For it's the car is taking care of you. You should take care of your car. If you do, like, you try to be real slick and try to, like, save money here and there. You just replace the brushes, and then you think that's gonna fix your alternator. That the actual what do you call that? The shaft that the brushes ride on, that those things can get pitted and they start to, like, erode away, and then you put new brushes on there and that surface isn't 100% smooth. It'll eat your brushes up really fast. A couple months, maybe. Say it'll give you a couple months time. You can, you know, but it's recommended to replace the whole thing, the device. Some alternators are not rebuildable, and you're not supposed. They won't. They're not that easily serviced. But the new ones, yeah, you can replace the brushes, but it's recommended to replace the entire alternator at the time when usually when it starts to fail, because other components inside there can be worn down as well. So yeah, just letting you people. I'm just giving this information now because it's a lot. There's a lot of misinformation. A lot of people say, "Oh, it's your battery," because they see the battery, and it's not the case. That just means it means your battery is not charging, and what charges the battery is the alternator. So, and this is a dangerous condition. You could die in a car accident if you're on the highway somewhere and you ignore this, and your car stalls out because the power on the battery runs down completely. You can get into in a fatal car accident. You cause a big problem. If your car stalls in the middle of a highway and you can't pull over, and there's a truck or something, they don't see you right away because your hazard lights won't work because your battery's dead. You can get into a fatal crash. That's why it's a red indicator. Red means you're dead. So just be careful out there. Don't let it run to this point. Some people, there's a light will flicker, like your battery light.